This right here is my studio. I personally call it a studio because office sounds too formal, and I like to keep this a place where creativity lives and hopefully is easy to make. I've been in this apartment for about 9 months. I filmed a few videos in here and a few kind of ideas, and I've been very busy with just kind of work and getting busy doing freelance again, which is great. I finally had some time to dedicate to the studio and get it into a place where I'm really happy with it now, and I'm really excited to make stuff in it. So let's go over the different kind of areas in the studio. Right off the bat, right when you enter the room, you have the gear shelf and the workbench. The gear shelf and the boxes are inspired by Casey Neistat's orange boxes from his old studio. Pretty much all my giant bins of random wires and random pieces of equipment, I tried to consolidate and categorize in a way that made sense to me so that if I needed anything, I can just grab it and go. And everything is labeled in the most disgusting handwriting, which is mine, so that I can see it and I know where it is. So far, the system has worked absolutely great. The only time it's been a little slow is when I have about 7 boxes out because I'm doing a big project and don't feel like putting them back in and pulling them out all the time, because that is the part that drives me insane. But drawers are kind of useless. Once I shut a drawer, I kind of forget everything that exists inside of it. And then we have the workbench. The workbench has bigger things kind of in it. So it has my tools, it has the flash and the lights and all that kind of stuff that's there. It has a bunch of camera mounting accessories and all that kind of stuff. And then it has some big cases underneath. On the end of it is actually a charging wall, and that charging wall has a USB adapter, has MPF chargers, it has Sony battery chargers. Currently on top of the workbench there is a giant TV that doesn't have any use. I haven't really used it. It doesn't really get used for anything. Sometimes I might chuck on a movie on there in the background. It doesn't get used, and I just don't really have anywhere in my apartment to currently put it, so in the office it'll live. You might notice in the studio there is a giant pole that kind of goes across over my head right now, and that pole is actually it's a very pole from Impact, so it's an expandable pole that you can kind of put from ceiling to floor or wall to wall if it's short enough, and you can kind of mount lights off of it or kind of mount anything off of it. When I first got a studio, I really wanted a rail system. I don't know why. I don't need a rail system, and this was kind of that in between of I want a rail system but I don't need one. However, these very poles from Impact have been very useful on, you know, weddings and on set and all that kind of stuff. Just being able to have a light stand that is small profile that, you know, at a wedding venue just kind of clamp to the ceiling or to a truss is really useful. On there, usually I have mounted at least one light so that I can kind of, you know, add light to the room as needed if I have meetings or anything like that. Being able to chuck like a fake window like this behind me, people seem to really love it, and especially this room gets really warm because there's 2 windows, and so being able to, you know, close the curtains and then have a light on seems counterintuitive, but is quite nice, especially in the afternoon, to do a meeting or two and not have it be boiling hot. And then behind me is what I would consider the most interesting area. We have the workstation right here, which we can go into a little bit more. But over here, we actually have a little shooting space. So I have a little textured wall right here, so wall paneling that I kind of just drilled into the wall. Hopefully, it's covered under my security deposit. And then I have a sit-stand desk right here that is basically free to move. It's not really plugged in unless I need to raise it. And I actually use that for the what's in my bag video, where I had I had camera mounted on the very pole above me, and then I also had this table kind of brought out to here, raised it up, and then I had a tripod, lights, and I was using that as my background. But overall, it's a really great shooting space, and it allows for a good amount of variety when I need it to. I just like having something kind of different than the regular office space, especially in an apartment where I can't paint the walls. Having a giant wall panel is quite nice, and it kind of matches the style that I tend to go for a lot. And here is the workstation. The workstation kind of changes the most. It changes the most often. Things come and go, things get left on the desk, you know, things get changed around, but most of the components are still the same. I have an ultra-wide curved monitor on the bottom and then a regular size monitor on the top. That's personally my preferred layout. I'll have, you know, my editing timeline or my photo editing timeline on the bottom, photo editing software on the bottom, and then a preview on the top, and or let's be honest, a YouTube video and the workstation is how it tends to go. But that's my preferred layout for the monitors, and then I have a custom-built keyboard, which is I think a Ducky base keyboard, and then the HyperX pudding keycaps on there. And then, you know, the PC is nothing special. Once again, maybe I'll dive into it one day. The workspace is kind of already about to go through a change in this month, hopefully. But the one thing that we are going to get into in the very next video is my storage, because I had a big failure of my storage recently, and it's quite the story. And so, you know, I'll be making a video about that. Other than that, the main kind of goal with this office, at least, was to have a huge amount of open floor space. I want to be able to kind of move this space around, move the desk around, move the workbench around, and kind of set up, you know, little areas, whether it's for product photography, for doing little interviews, talking head videos like this. I've even had 1 or 2 people come out to the studio before and film social media content against this wall right here. And personally, just really excited to also have my gear finally organized. It was quite a humbling experience to see how much gear I had that I had forgotten that I had bought, but now is in clear bins so I can see it and, you know, hopefully get inspired from there. Once again, this is a video that I've been excited to make for a while. I've had a few offices in the past that have never really been shown off, but this is the first one where I am really excited about it. I'm really excited to show it off. I'm really excited to work in it too. Before I did the rearrangement, it was an office where I wasn't, you know, I didn't feel was optimized for creativity. And now, you know, everything being accessible, everything being modular, everything being movable, I'm really excited to work in this space. If there's anything else about my process or anything that you're interested in, feel free to leave a comment and maybe make a video about it. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one. Bye.